again, everyone. This is Mary Fielder at Great Light Rising. Welcome back to my channel. In this episode, we're talking about integrating the shadow. On this channel, we talk about all things spiritual, the spiritual awakening journey, and our soul's healing journey. So our dark side, or our shadow self, is that part of ourselves that we are either unaware of or somehow ashamed of or afraid to face. In the shadow, we have stuffed all that we wish to keep hidden, all that's been rejected in us, and often fears and worries we have no idea are there. However, whatever is in the shadow, and no matter how it got there, the fact that a part of our persona lies hidden and ignored means that we are not fully whole. We are not fully healed. When we talk about the dark side, we're not talking about something that's inherently bad in some way, even if we've been told that it's bad to be jealous or angry or bad-tempered. Those aspects of our character are not evil. We simply need to heal from the trigger that causes them to rise up in us. Usually that's an insecurity. Rather than suppressing the emotion that arises from that insecurity, we need to identify and heal the insecurity itself. For example, if we're jealous, it's because we have a genuine unmet need, and we see that need being met for someone else. That's what makes us jealous, really. It's that they're getting something that we need, or that we really want, that we dearly want. If we can learn to identify that need and meet that need in ourselves, then the jealousy dissipates. So, how do we begin to do that? Integration of the shadow is not about becoming perfect, but rather reclaiming our authentic nature. So how do you integrate parts of yourself that you can't fully identify? Well, it begins by looking at the surface level of the conscious mind. Where am I dissatisfied with myself? What triggers do I have? What sensitivities do I have? What do I have strong reactions to? What do I get passionate about? What drives my passion? Or even what makes me angry and frustrated? For example, if you were abused as a child and you see a child being abused, you might have overwhelming feelings of anger, injustice, compassion, and hatred. These strong feelings may drive you to overeat until you feel bloated. This is a wound you can identify and heal. One person may do it by directly confronting the abuser. Another may decide to work with abused children. The work itself might be healing. Or you may seek out therapy, energy work such as Reiki, biofield tuning, hypnotism, or some other means. Our experience shapes who we are and how we react to life situations. We are healed when we can face our fear without having strong reactions. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to be completely uncaring. We want to be neutral but sympathetic at the same time. But we can learn to show our caring in ways that don't cause our own blood pressure to rise and our hearts to beat out of our chest in a major panic attack. Let's talk about the yin and yang that represent our inner landscape. Yang is the outward principle, the active, visible self, the doer, the achiever, the persona we project into the world, while yin is the inward, receptive, hidden self, the feeling body, the intuitive knowing, the interior life. The yin is the natural dwelling place of the subconscious, the quiet, dark, fertile interior, where the shadow lives. But yin is not the shadow. Yin overshadows the shadow. It's the divine feminine energy, the goodness and grace inside us. When the shadow is healed, the gentle, caring, compassionate, and loving energy, the yin within you, will literally shine forth. Where there was jealousy, there will be joy for the other person. Where there was anger, there will be understanding. And where there was guilt, there will be compassion for self. So you might ask, is the shadow actually the inner child? I would say not. I would say the inner child is an aspect of the shadow, but not the whole shadow, just a part of it. A part of ourself that was wounded early in life by circumstances or something someone said. often repeatedly, but sometimes just once. The wounded inner child expresses through fear of abandonment, the inability to trust, people-pleasing, or fear of not being loved, not being lovable. Integrating the inner child means replacing guilt and shame with compassion and kindness towards ourselves. And often it requires us to establish healthy boundaries within ourselves to stop people-pleasing and face the idea that it's okay if people don't like us. Being loved by others is not the way to build self-confidence. Sincerely not caring whether you are loved by others is an act of self-love and demonstrates much higher self-esteem. Paradoxically, once you arrive there, you actually command respect from others almost automatically. We think that we have to please people in order for them to like us, but often it's actually the reverse. We need to please ourselves first, and then we get the respect from other people because they see us having and maintaining our personal boundaries. And there are many, many people that can't do that. And those people that can't do that will look at you and think, wow, that person has it going on. You have it going on. Everyone looks up to people who exude genuine confidence, poise, and grace, whereas people tend to look down on those who do not stand up for themselves, but they'll be really quick to take advantage of you nonetheless if you demonstrate that characteristic. If you don't stand up for yourself, there'll be people ready to use and abuse you at a moment's notice. But when you do stand up for yourself, you will notice that you don't get pushed around in that way. You don't get pestered by people looking for favors in quite the same way. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be kind to others and you shouldn't do nice things for others. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that you need to do it when it's right for you to do it, when it feels good for you to do it. Not when it feels wrong or out of place or you're just too tired this week. So there is a paradox there. While we may think the shadow contains our worst traits, the truth is those hidden parts of ourself, once we integrate them in a healthy way, they make up the whole self. And it is through the whole self that our buried gifts can be unveiled and our full potential can be expressed. For instance, I'll give you a for instance. Let's say a child is reprimanded for doodling all over her math homework. You know, she's bored and she's doing little scribbles and so on, little artworks. And she might be told that she's an idle daydreamer and she's not living up to her potential. She may even be labeled ADHD because she can't keep her attention on the math, when in fact, mathematics just simply holds no intrigue for her at all. Her brain glazes over when she looks at equations. But the gift of doodling or artistic expression might be the expression of a deep artistic talent within her that could be cultivated into something grand if it were allowed to express. Instead, she's taught to hunker down and get on with math. Maybe she even has to go to a math tutor because society tells her she must get certain grades to graduate high school or she won't amount to anything. So she stops doodling, she suppresses her artistic trait and frames herself as an idle daydreamer or someone with ADHD and no real potential. She sees herself this way instead of seeing herself as the talented artist who is aching to express her true gift. So this might then become suppressed in her. It might become reflected in her shadow as a negative characteristic, something she's ashamed of, instead of in her outer personality as a positive characteristic, one she should be proud of. I'll say again, integration is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real, about becoming your authentic self, the you were always meant to be before society messed with your mind. I'll invite you then to reframe what you might think of as your darkness into depth of character, depth of soul, depth of personality. If you feel angry or depressed because your natural gifts have been stifled or because you've been made to feel that you don't fit in, I encourage you to explore the depths of your soul. Have the courage to peer into the dark corners of your psyche and explore what is really lurking there. Behind the shadows is the real you, your authentic self, the fullest expression of your potential, waiting to be discovered, not by others, but by you. The best you is not the edited, socially acceptable you. It's the whole you, the individual and unique being of light you were always designed to be. You know your dreams reveal the shadow. One way to explore this journey of discovering yourself is through dreams. In fact, some would argue that is exactly the purpose of dreams, at least some types of dreams. Dreaming is a big subject. Ask your guides and spirit helpers to bring you healing messages in your dreams. Keep a journal near your bed or even a voice recorder so you can capture dreams before they escape into the light of day. I find that even a few keywords will help me remember the dream long enough to write it up over a morning brew or later on in the day when I have the time to sit down. I found AI to be really profound at dream interpretation. For an easy approach, I recommend you try the following. Number 1, capture some keywords as soon as you wake up. Use keywords to describe emotions, feelings, colors, animals, places, people, and notable words, phrases, or numbers that come up in the dream, because all of these things are significant. Number 2, even if you only remember one thing, such as a single color or a single word and nothing else, write it down, because as you do so, over time you will start to remember more and more of your dreams. Dreaming is like building muscle. You have to work it consistently. Especially try to remember how you felt in the dream or immediately on waking. Even if you can't remember anything else, try and capture the emotion that you wake up with. Were you relieved to wake up? Were you energized? Were you confused, motivated, overwhelmed, frightened? Number 3. When you are ready, as early as possible in the day, the earlier the better, use the keywords to reconstruct the dream and write it up. You'll find that once you start writing, you also start remembering. And then your dream might get longer and longer as you recall more and more things about it. You thought you'd forgotten it, but as you start to write it out, bits and pieces of it will come back to you. And this will happen more and more easily the more that you try it, the more that you practice. Number 4. Make a few brief notes about what's been going on in your life and what issues your mind has been dwelling on. Have you had something on your mind? Were you worrying about something? Have you been spending a lot of time thinking about something? Or is there a big life event that has been coming up in your life recently? Number 5, cut and paste all of that into your favorite AI engine and ask it to interpret the dream. Don't forget to give it the context in your life, because that's really going to help the dream interpretation aspect. So don't just give it the dream itself, but when you can, give it context around that dream. Number 6, remember that people in your dreams are rarely those people in your life, but rather aspects of yourself. So spend some time thinking about the people who come up in your dreams and what aspect of yourself that relates to. If you dream about your father, that's not your actual father, but what a father represents. That might be authority, leadership, structure, guidance, independence, and decision-making. It's important to realize or maybe differentiate in your dream, because it is possible to have a dream about your real father, especially if your father has passed, and that might be a visitation dream. But most of the time, a father in dreams is an archetype and doesn't represent your actual real father. So you might have had a father, for example, who wasn't very present in your life. But when you dream of a father in your dreams, even though it looks like your own father, it might be exhibiting characteristics more of an archetypal father, more of an ideal father than your actual father. So based on your context and your experience, you have to make that differentiation. But don't automatically assume that because you dream of your father in your dream that he's your actual real father. So your dream might be indicating that you need more fatherly guidance or perhaps less fatherly guidance. More guidance like that, more authority, more leadership, more structure, more independence, the ability to make decisions, or that you might be overthinking all of that and you need to back off. So which way it's going to go is going to depend on the rest of the context of the dream. And this is where having an independent, impartial observer, such as an AI engine, can give you really cool insights. So the context of the dream provides the answers to all these questions, but also what overrides even the interpretation is what resonates deep within you as you think about the dream. That really is the key. So if you have a deep resonance with something that comes up in the dream interpretation or something that comes up in the actual dream, that might be the golden key that you need to interpret the dream. Number 7, if you do decide to use an AI engine to interpret your dreams, I recommend using the same one over and over because it will start to construct an idea of who you are at your core and what issues you've been working on over time. And that's going to make the AI dream interpretation increasingly more accurate. So the more you do this exercise, the more of your dreams you'll remember. And if you use AI to interpret them, the cleaner and more accurate the interpretations are going to become. Number 8, and then use those interpretations to guide you in your process of soul evolution, in your process of who you choose to become, of how you choose to react to events in your life, in your decision-making process, and so on. Your dreams are guidance for you that are going to guide you on this journey of life. So exploring your dreams, your inner feelings, your sensitivities and triggers, these are all ways to understand your shadow. You will find all kinds of emotions there, lurking, suppressed, repressed, oppressed, all those words we use to describe the feelings that we want to push away and stuff down. Integrating the shadow means bringing these things forward into the light, into the conscious mind, where we can process them. Rather than saying, I'm not going to think about that today, instead, we can talk to ourselves kindly and say, you know what? That was a hard thing for me, or that was unfair, or I deserve to be treated better than that, damn it. Talk to that part of yourself that was hurt, angry, sad, shut down, and allow it to break free from the shadow. Allow all the feelings to bubble up, to surface, and face them head on. Once you allow them to exist within you, there might be temporary pain as you face up to your own bad feelings, but there will be lasting relief once you allow them to exist, because by existing, they can dissipate. You can let them go. Alternatively, you can allow those lost parts of yourself to integrate back within you. Allow them to become part of you. Accept the parts of yourself you couldn't accept before. Make room for those parts of you in your own heart. Treat yourself as you would a small wounded child and talk to yourself with compassion and love. I'm here now. I'm whole now. I can be myself now. I don't care what other people think or say or do. I am proclaiming my sovereign right to be myself, to stand in my authentic light and live my truth. I will be kind and courteous, caring and loving towards others, but I will start by drawing my own personal boundaries and defending those with a quiet but unyielding resolve. This is how you integrate the shadow. So where are you at? Have you faced your shadow? Have you even found your shadow? I would just like to close by saying what I found is that shadow work is not something you really have to dig for. It's just something you face as stuff comes up. Life will bring things up for you, and the trick is just to deal with it. Those feelings you don't enjoy feeling. That's the key, I think, to shadow work. Anyway, I hope this episode has helped you in some way, and if it has, please consider leaving me a comment, like the video, and follow me. Walk in the light, my friend, and stay well, and I will talk to you in the next one.